Meeting today is June 14th. It's 4 o'clock, so we'll get started. Ms. Dance, we do have a quorum. All 7 board members are present. At this time, I'll call on Mr. Al Byrd for the invocation, Mr. Ronald Johnston for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's bow our heads. Father, we're so grateful and thankful for this opportunity to conduct business on behalf of the Johnston County Public Schools. We pray tonight, Lord, we may be able to do everything decently and in order, and that everything we do, everything we say, every decision is made, Lord, and may prosper the students of this county. We bless you and we thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session for the purpose stated on our agenda. Motion by Mr. Wooten, second by Mr. Johnson. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. We'll now enter closed session. Good afternoon and welcome to your Johnston County Board of Education. We have already had our invocation, Pledge of Allegiance, and closed session. At this time, we will go ahead and start with our open session agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve our minutes on May 10th, May 11th, which was a special session virtual, and May 31st, special session virtual.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Johnston.
Second.
Second by Ms. Andrews. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 7-0. At this time, we'll go through our discussion and adjustment to the agenda, starting with Mr. Johnson.
No adjustments.
Mr. Carroll.
No adjustment.
Mr. Byrd.
No adjustments.
Ms. Sessoms.
No adjustments.
Ms. Andrews.
No adjustments.
Mr. Wooten.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we remove item 11E, which is items of the Chief Finance Fund Balance Transfer Resolution. Could we remove that, please?
Thank you, Mr. Wooten. We will remove the fund transfer under Chief Financial Officer. That'll be the motion. Do I have a second?
So moved.
Second by Mr. Johnson. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries 7-0. At this time, we will get a COVID update from Mr. Avery.
Good afternoon, Dr. Bracy, Chairman Mr. Sutton, Vice Chair Ms. Sessions, and members of the board. These are our COVID-19 updates. Our COVID metrics are as follows. We've seen an increase in positive cases from May to June. There were 6 active staff cases on May the 10th and 3 active staff cases as of today. There were 28 active student cases on May the 10th. As of today, there are 12 active student cases. All Johnston County public schools and campuses, including transportation, are currently in a mask optional setting. Johnston County Board of Education remains required to vote on the mask status. This concludes our COVID-19 updates. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Can I have a question? Is this the last time we have to vote on this? I'm getting a... I would make a motion that we continue as mask optional in Johnston County, and also on our transportation, and I would think that this would carry us through the beginning of our summer school, summer academy, summer learning situations that will begin here soon in our county. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's my motion.
A second.
So we have a motion by Ms. Andrews to continue to be mask optional, including our transportation that'll carry us through summer learning. Second by Ms. Sessoms. Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Avery. At this time, we will go around for our updates, starting with finance.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to defer my comments through Mr. Stephen Britt when he comes up.
And Mr. Britt, can we hold you to about right before maybe 10 till 6 for that? All right, thank you. Next, our legal committee,
No report.
policy.
Yes, we have changed our meeting time for this month, and the media has been alerted. We normally meet on the Thursday after our regular business meeting, but this month we'll be meeting tomorrow afternoon, Wednesday at 2 o'clock here in the boardroom.
Thank you, Ms. Sessoms. Thank you for everything y'all do for the policies and keeping up with everything, so we appreciate that. The bond committee.
We have sent a request from the county to the LGC. We have not heard anything back yet affirmatively either way, so we're waiting to hear from county commissioners.
Again, thank you all, Mr. Carroll, and your team for assisting on the bond and continuing to have interaction with our county commissioners on these needs. At this time, we'll go to special recognitions. Ms. Furr.
Good afternoon, Dr. Bracy, Chairman Sutton, members of the board. It is my pleasure to be before you this evening and bring you our special recognitions. Let me first share with the family members who are with us tonight. If your loved one is being recognized, please feel free to come forward, go behind the board, take photos. This is your boardroom, so you are welcome to make yourself comfortable and take photos as you see fit. The first group I have with you for tonight is the Corinth Holders High Wind Ensemble, and they are coming in now. This group was named the 2022 Winter Guardian International Scholastic A-Class Champions at World Championships in Dayton, Ohio on Saturday, April 24th. The win came off of a remarkable season where the ensemble remained undefeated in the Atlantic Indoor Association, Carolina Winter Ensemble Association, and Winter Guard International. Made up of 38 students who you see before you now, the group includes students from the entire band program, spanning all grade levels and skill levels. The season began in November with rehearsals establishing technique, basics, and musicianship. Throughout the season, the students were challenged musically and visually to create an entertaining, fun, and enjoyable show called A Winter's Daydream. This is the first time that the Corinth Holders High Wind Ensemble has completed an entire season and attended World Championships. Their success is a product of hard work and sheer determination. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to read their names, okay? Yes. You guys got this? All right. Julia Alfonson, Oliver Arroyo, Seth Benbow, Larry Bonham, Delaney Champion, Catherine Coberly, Frankie Cool, Anthony Crivello, Hannah Dameron, Adrian Davila, Grace Davis, Caden Downs, Race Fisher, Leslie Gutierrez, Liam Hargis, Hugo Herrera, Eloyo Herrera, Mason Jenkins, Gabby Johnston, Jackie Lane, Charlie Mauschney, Fiona Manchik, Ronan Manchik, Nicholas Martinez, Jaden McLean, Layla Morgan, Juliana Nachman, Eli Phipps, Grayson Roach, Lauren Robinson, Daniel Snyder, Sam Solinger, Perry Sorensen, Stephanie Villanueva, David Villavicencio, I practice, I promise, Jack Vinson, Terry Wallace, and Erica Williams.
I would like to say also, if parents would like to come behind the board and take pictures before they leave, they need to do that as well. You're welcome to come behind us and take pictures.
And you guys know Dr. Pearson. She's a proud mama. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Carroll. We had him straight outside, but, you know, it happened. Luck would have it this way. Yeah, they don't need me. And with them this evening, other than Dr. Pearson, who we all know and love, is Miss Olivia Spell, Director of Bands and Ensembles from Corinth Holders High, and their principal, Mr. Brian Johnson. And I think, Miss Spell, do you have something you want to present?
I do. If you see around their necks, they have their gold medals from WGI, and we have one for Chairman Sutton on behalf of the board, and as well as Dr. Bracey. Thank you so much.
Y'all do marching and stuff, right?
Let's go.
Mr. Wooten, I didn't know you were a celebrity. And up next, we'll have our County Athletic Director, Mr. Josh Plisko, who's going to bring us some athletic recognitions.
Yes, right here is fine. Right here, thank you. Yeah. Good evening, Chairman Sutton, Vice Chair Sessoms, Dr. Bracy, and members of the board. Tonight we have Beth Langley here. She attends Corinth Holders. Also in attendance to help celebrate her tonight is Principal Brian Johnston, AD Scotty Williams, and Coach and mother, Miss Sherry Langley. Beth is in grade 11. Her freshman year, she was a JV cheerleader. The past 2 years, sophomore and junior year, she's been on varsity, as well as the varsity stunt program they offer at Corinth Holders. She's an all-regional cheerleader her junior year, which is this year, and the coach's comments were Beth is extremely coachable as she takes direction and criticism well. She is very team-oriented, everything she does in a team mindset. She works hard in every practice and outside of practice to better herself as an athlete. Her future plans as a junior as of now are to maybe go to East Carolina University or the University of North Carolina in the Charlotte area to major in nutrition. She would like to cheer at the collegiate level well and is pursuing that. Beth will be at the East-West All-Star game representing us on Wednesday night. We look forward to that and seeing her out there in Greensboro. So let's give her a round of applause. Now you can go around. And I do have to say, Coach Langley won the conference in her stunt cheer this year as well, and the whole cheer program had a great job too. So Coach Langley has done well up there, as always. And another Corinth Holder student athlete couldn't be with us tonight, but he'll be representing the district in the East-West Football All-Star Game. Xavier Fields, defensive lineman, 72 tackles. He's going to be going to A&T, so we're really looking forward to seeing him participate at that level, and also over the summer in the All-Star Game. And that's what we have. But I will say, if you have the opportunity to go on Max Preps and watch his Garner highlights and the playoff highlights he has on there, it's very impressive. And I'm sure if you're an Aggie fan, you're going to look forward to seeing him. So let's give him a little round of applause. Susan and Travis, you both want to come up? I'm really excited to talk about these two individuals up here with me tonight. A little bit of background. We're going to be celebrating our Coaches of the Year. The Coach of the Year recognition has been occurring in Johnston County since 2015. The coaches must be nominated by an administrator, school AD, or fellow coach. All nominations after a site-based review are sent to the district for a review by a committee. Thank you to everybody that submitted. It was great to hear all the stories around the county this year. First, we're going to talk about Miss Adams, and here to help celebrate her, besides her family, is also Principal Anthony Whitaker of Four Oaks Middle. This year, Miss Adams coached boys soccer, softball, and was the athletic director. She has 24 years coaching experience and has coached just about every sport besides football and track at the middle school level. This school year, Coach Adams continues to lead from before the first bell to dusk in Four Oaks. She has a wealth of experience, and Principal Whitaker had fabulous things to say about her. One thing that impressed me as I traveled around the district watching contests was her professionalism and presence. It was inviting and serious at the same time. You could see that the athletes respect her as a coach. When in a huddle and athletes are looking to you and the coach, you can tell a lot about the team and that coach. In those huddles, you can tell everyone was invested in each other and the process. It was very evident if you go to a Four Oaks game. That process led the boys soccer team to a quality season and her softball team to a co-conference championship. The school's program under her direction this year captured 3 conference championships at Four Oaks Middle. In closing, I do not think I can say it better than from what her principal said. Coach Adams, she is a leader from start to finish with every stakeholder. Please help me in congratulating Coach Susan Adams on her recognition this year. And next, we have the high school coach of the year, Coach Travis Gaster. To help us celebrate here today is some fellow coaches from his coaching staff and Principal Mr. Ellis. Some background information: he was hired in 2015 as the head coach, and I have to say, with his daughter here tonight to celebrate as well, I was looking up the article of when he was hired in Johnston County, and your father, Jack, I don't know if you remember this quote, but you said one of your first memories was on a tractor at Smithfield Ensemble High School at that football field. So in looking back at some of those things, and when he was hired back in 2015 here, and he's been doing a great job since, I thought that was a nice quote to come together, especially when I heard your daughter was coming here to support you as well. So he's had 17 years coaching experience. In 2015 to 2021, his record is 57 wins and 23 losses as a head football coach, which is over a 700 winning percentage mark. The last 3 years, the program under his direction has only lost 4 ball games amidst all that's gone on the past couple of years, so that's very commendable. As far as it relates to this season for the high school coach of the year, Coach Gaster has a lot of stories and memories of his players, coaching staff, and key plays throughout this past fall. From an early battle at East Duplin to 5 home playoff games that the community was able to come out and support. This fall was one of those special seasons, Coach. This year's Bulldogs under his directions went 13-1 and had the privilege of hosting the 2A Eastern Regional in the first year of a new realignment cycle. Some words that describe Coach from those that work with him on a daily basis and in conversations with Mr. Ellis, the principal of Princeton Middle High, are commitment, work ethic, humility, understanding. These values are evident in the teams he coaches and the athletic program as a whole under his direction. Please help me in congratulating Coach Travis Gaster on the recognition with a round of applause.
We're bringing back last month's Employee of the Month.
Good evening, Chairman Sutton, Vice Lady Chair Ms. Sessoms, Dr. Bracy, and other members of the Board of Education. It is my pleasure tonight to present to you our May Classified Employee of the Month, Ms. Karen Rushton. Ms. Karen Rushton is a school nutrition manager at Riverwood Middle School. She was nominated by her coworker, Tina Bedingfield. Ms. Rushton has served 15 years in Johnston County Public Schools, and she's been a school nutrition manager since 2008. Ms. Rushton works hard to make sure all of the children have a good breakfast and lunch. She cares about how the food is set up, and she takes pride in making things run smoothly and looking nice. She has been at this school for many years and is very dedicated to providing the very best for the students. We appreciate all that you do for the students at Riverwood Middle School. Congratulations, Ms. Rushton.
Recognize our 2022 Employees of the Year. Each year, educators that serve outside of the classroom setting are recognized for the important roles that they play in Johnston County Public Schools. Our staff was asked to nominate their colleagues for the Employee of the Year, and we had hundreds of nominations come in. Through the nomination and blind judging process, Employees of the Year for Johnston County Public Schools were named in the following categories: Auxiliary and Administrative Services, Central Office, Curriculum Instruction and Accountability, Facilities and Construction, and Media Specialist. Our 2022 Auxiliary and Administrative Services Employee of the Year is Mr. Chase Farrell. Mr. Farrell was nominated by Mr. Ben Barber, who said that he has never met someone that is involved and as passionate about his job as Mr. Farrell is. He has personally witnessed the relationship that he has built with our Emergency Services Department, police departments, and Sheriff's Office, and believes that Johnston County is a better place because of the work that he does. He truly puts children and staff safety as his #1 priority. He always has a positive attitude and can find the good in a bad situation. He goes above and beyond looking into a situation to find the best way possible to resolve it. Mr. Barber said that what sets Mr. Farrell apart is that he truly cares for his employees and teammates and is happy to help no matter what the job is. And I can personally attest and say that I have benefited from the work Mr. Farrell does and cannot say enough about the measures that he has put in place to keep our county safe. So please join me in congratulating Mr. Farrell. Don't go yet. For Employee of the Year, and you have a certificate as well. If you will, go through. They appreciate you. Thank you, sir. And up next is our Curriculum Instruction and Accountability Employee of the Year, Ms. Karasik. Ms. Jill Karasik is a school counselor at Dixon Road Elementary. She was nominated by Laura Costa. She said that Ms. Karasik is like a fairy godmother who works tirelessly behind the scenes to make programs and instruction at Dixon Road happen effortlessly. As a school counselor, she is involved in all areas of our school family. She coordinates with area businesses and churches to provide backpack buddies kits for kids. She distributes school supplies as needed and volunteers to have lunch with students in need of a person to just listen to. She is a much-needed peer practice with younger students. She goes far beyond the requirements of her job because she desires to serve the staff and student body. She teaches lessons regularly that are tailored to classroom needs and readily consults with teachers about what lesson would work best at this time. When she is teaching, the students are engaged and amazed that she knows their name and often their siblings as well. She achieves remarkable goals, most of which she sets for herself. She is great at what she does. Please join me in congratulating Ms. Karasik. Here you go. Thank you so much. And here is your certificate as well. Thank you so much. You can go ahead. You know I can pull your chain, right? I can pull your chain, right? You can come back there if you want to. Okay. Thank you. Up next is our 2022 Facilities and Construction Employee of the Year, Mr. Billy Norris. He was nominated by Matthew Johnston. He said that Billy knows what it takes to show up to work every day ready to give it his all. He has overcome various personal challenges, including the death of his wife, and has shown not just a good attitude, but also extraordinary resilience. He is always determined to take on tasks that no one else wants to accomplish. His resolve to consistently do what is best and do it well characterizes strong character. He personifies the idea that while life may be difficult and not always go our way, it does not have to dictate or negatively affect our daily relationships and work ethic. He feels that by giving it your best when you clock in, you are honoring not just yourself, but also those around you. He is a fantastic example and definition of an exceptional employee. Please join me in congratulating Mr. Norris. Thank you. Here's your certificate as well. Feel free to go around. And up next is our Media Coordinator of the Year, Miss Melissa Waring. You don't like the spotlight on you, do you? Stay right next to me. We'll make it brief. Miss Waring is the Media Coordinator at Corinth Holders Elementary. She was nominated by her principal, Mr. Chad McLam. He said that she is the face of the school's media center and that she knows every parent by name as she heads up the dismissal line. She displays empathy daily as she cares more about others than herself. She truly would do anything to put a smile on anyone's face. Her passion for her job and what she does is what you want working alongside you every day. She constantly seeks ways to bolster our morale, and she goes out of her way to help others and inspire them daily. She does the same with students and parents. Miss Waring shares her love of reading with anyone that she comes into contact with. She was nominated because she is humbling and does so much to deserve recognition for what she does. She truly does whatever is needed for students. Please join me in congratulating Miss Melissa Waring. It's kind of heavy. I'm trying to. Here's for his assistance for our central office employee of the year.
Good evening, board members. Oh, went too far. This is exciting. Our 2022 Central Office Employee of the Year is Miss Caitlin Furr, and of course she can by no means introduce herself. She was nominated by Catherine Ferrier, and she said that Ms. Furr works tirelessly to promote Johnston County Public Schools programs to maintain a positive image for our school district. She confidently, proficiently, and promptly attends to the needs of administration and directors. She also leads school staff in properly relaying information to the public via websites and social media platforms. Despite having a growing family, Caitlin puts forth a great deal of time, energy, and dedication to Johnston County Public Schools. She is the voice of our district to our most important stakeholders, the parents and students. She is helpful and attentive to anyone who has a need, even when they are not in her department. She has always been responsive to my questions, taking the extra time to explain the why, and she shows me the steps to achieve any task. Above all, she listens. She also takes action and keeps everyone calm when the pressure is high. Her experience, wisdom, fairness, and compassion makes her a deserving recipient of this recognition. I can tell you from someone who speaks to her daily multiple times a day, she's more than deserving of this and represents us well in Johnston County Public Schools. Please help us congratulate Ms. Caitlin Furr.
Take just a second. I want to really thank our retirees who come and help us with the blind judging process. Every year we ask for multiple retirees to come help us, and it's never it's how can I help? How quickly can I help? And with that being said, we'd ask you to mark your calendar for our retirement celebration. It's going to be in this room on June 30th from 2 to 5 p.m. It's a floating ceremony. And for all of our retirees who are watching, this is for our 21-22 school year retirees. It's just over 100 people. They should have gotten their invitation in the mail today or yesterday. We hope that they will come and be with us. And we'll send out some reminders about that as well and hope to see you there.
Thank you for doing
Thank you.
this.
Absolutely.
Mr. Britt, can you give us a finance update at this time right before we go any further?
Yes, sir. Good evening, board members, Dr. Bracy. Just a quick finance update from our finance committee. You know, we have submitted our funding request to the county commissioners for our local funding, and we're also awaiting the North Carolina General Assembly to pass legislation in the short session that will hopefully address some of our major concerns with funding, and that includes salaries. So to give an analogy, you know, or before I get into the analogy, we talk a lot about, you know, that we're in a good place financially, and that's true. We do have a healthy fund balance, and we are in a good place, you know, both in the short term and the long term. But to give an analogy, you know, the position that we're in is kind of like when all employee or all citizens received their stimulus money from Uncle Sam. You know, if we all remember that, what was it, $1,200 or something like that? It really stimulated the economy, and it was everybody was able to go out and spend money or pay off bills or that sort of thing. But you have to be careful with that. You know, you wouldn't want to go out and go buy a car. You know, go out and go buy a new Cadillac or a new Silverado with that $1,200, because you have that $1,200 a day. That's a great down payment, but that's not going to make your payments going forward. And so that's where we really are as a school district. We're kind of in the same way. We have stimulus money. It's just a lot larger dollar amount, but it's a time limited amount of money, and it's a one-time pot of money. So once that money is gone, it's going to pretty dramatically change our financial position. And so any movement that we make or that we recommend to the board to take has to take into account the long-term plan. So what can we afford in the long term when the stimulus money goes away? And so that's one of the main things of why we request a funding increase, even though we're in a healthy position, is because we need recurring funds to be able to pay salaries and to provide pay increases. Because I think, what was the latest inflation numbers that we had? Was it 8.6% inflation? And so from the state, we are looking at a 2.5% pay increase. And so our hope is that the state will increase that amount to at least be somewhat comparable to a cost of living adjustment. Because we talk about pay increases, and it's nowhere close to what even a cost of living adjustment would be. You know, we're nowhere near that 8.6%. And so we're hoping between state funding and county funding that we can make up, or at least close that gap, close that pinch that our employees are feeling whenever they have any expense for your cost of living. And so that's really where we are as a district, just a kind of a super fast synopsis of funding and what we're requesting for pay increases.
Just to reiterate, you know, that our budget to our expense budget, you've got another name for it, but the budget that we presented to the commissioners for our operating expenses was an additional $8.4 million from the 79.9 we got last year.
That's correct.
Of that 8.4, 5.2 million was to go to our classified staff.
That's right.
Which was an understanding that we know that classified staff have not been paid what they should have been paid here in Johnston County because of the numerous steps in the pay salary. So last year, the commissioners funded us to compress that from 70 to 48.
We compressed from 54 steps to 46 steps.
Okay, 46 steps. They gave us the money to do that. What we have asked them for this year was to give us the money to compress it from 46 to 38. Am I correct?
That's right.
So to compress means to shorten it down. We're trying to get it to 30 years, a 30-step process, which would increase the salaries of everyone. And so that's what $5.2 million of the money that we ask our commissioners for this year is to go to our classified staff.
That's correct.
Out of the $8.4 million that we asked for.
That's correct. That's right.
And that's
And
basically 75% of the increase that we're
Right,
pretty
right.
much.
But my point is that's what, the last year they did give us the money to compress from 54 to 46. And now we're asking them, and I can tell you, we're going next year to ask to go from 38 to 30.
That's right. You're exactly right. This is year 2 of the three-year plan. Because unfortunately, we're so far behind with our classified salaries that we would really just kind of blow people away if we just tried to address the whole host of the problem all at one time. Because it's a deep-rooted issue that we've got here. There's lots of classified employees that have 20 years of experience with us that are making 14 something an hour. So that they could make more money.
Which none of us agree with. I
Right.
mean, none of us think that's good.
Right, and so we were already behind, before COVID hit and before inflation hit, and it's exacerbated the problem. So it's quite a bit worse now, and it's getting worse each day as inflation occurs. And so we're trying to catch up as best we can, but we would need recurring funding to be able to support it.
Right, and I think that's the difference between the fund balance that we have left over this year. The reason that cannot sustain the compression of salaries is that is not reoccurring money.
That's right.
And we could spend it, but we are not guaranteed to have it for next year. So that's my point.
We would be exactly back into the same position that we were in 2019. We would spend through that fund balance in a hurry because, if we talk about a $6 million of expense increase for staff and we have $20 million in the bank, well, within 4 years, less than 4 years, 3 years, we would be out of cash again.
Plus you add in the cost of living those multiple years as well.
That's right.
And we met with the commissioner. We have talked with our commissioners, and they understand that $5.2 million of this is for our classified staff. They clearly understand that.
That's right.
Thank you for that update, Mr. Britt.
Thanks, Mr. Britt.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
We have a couple of minutes before public comment, so we're going to get set up for public comment at 6 o'clock, and we'll take a 2 to 3 minute break. At this time, we'll go into our public comment section of our agenda. Tonight, we have 2 speakers signed up for public comment. Citizens who signed up to address the board during public comment will be called upon as they signed up and will have 3 minutes to address the board. The board suggests that specific personnel or student matters be addressed to the school principal, the Johnston County Public School System official responsible for the program or facility, or to the superintendent, and are not appropriate for this setting. Our first speaker tonight is Miss Melanie Autry. Welcome.
Good evening, Dr. Bracy, Mr. Sutton, and board members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I know I will not finish in 3 minutes, so I'm just going to hit some highlights. I handed you a packet earlier. It will have the salary schedules for Johnston County classified. It will have the county schedule for the last page, which shows that we're $10,000 behind our lowest paid county employee. We took that $35,000 that they make per year, divide it by 12, get your monthly salary that they would have, and then we put 10 of it together to get that their actual salary at the same schedule that we're in is $29,000, approximately. I realize that you are, as a board, trying very hard to help the classified out, and I do appreciate that. However, my classified employees, and I'm speaking for all classified now that drive buses, are really concerned about the $17.50 an hour and the bonus. I realize the bonus is safety and attendance, but if you look at it and we only get attendance and we get $500 a year, I mean, that's great, but it's a lot harder to make perfect attendance in a month than it is to make it in a 12-month span. I really wish that that would be looked at. You have addressed the issues on pay, and you will see where in the letter I've written what the pay rates are. So I'm going to go ahead and say thank you for what you're doing, and please keep pushing. We do need that raise. When you live under poverty, if it was not for my husband, I would not be able to do the job that I love. He carries 99% of our bills. What I bring home each month does not pay my house payment. Most months, if I don't miss any time, like when my mom died, my salary was really short. But if you look at the salaries across the board, I'm a 17-year employee, and my bring home, after I pay all the insurances that I have to pay, is right at $1,100 a month. That's not much to live off of. And so the single parents that are working this really need that $17.50 for their dual employment job. Realize that our 2 jobs are separate, but they really need that $17.50 and that bonus. So I'm going to leave you with that. You have the packet. The next thing I want to address is that the pay for TAs in most states, and a lot of the states are divided to where the ECTAs who are specialized and have the medical training get paid at an EC special rate. I'm not sure what the medical instructional assistant, there was a separate pay for that, so I'm not sure what the qualifications for that was, because I should have met that about 5 years ago, because there's not a training in EC for medical that I don't have, and I'm not the only one in the county that way. So our request that you look at those scales to make it a fair across the board for the training that we're required to have to do our job. We should get credit for it. research for our teachers. And we need to be able to have access to that technology, which means we need a printer. And we also need training on this new technology that's coming out, because if our teacher is out, we're going to be expected to use it.
Miss Autry, I apologize, but I'll let you go over a little bit longer than 3 minutes.
That's fine. I was waiting for you to stop me.
But I will allow you to finish one more sentence if you have it, because this is near and dear to our hearts as well, as far as TA salaries and things like that. So we truly understand it. But if you have something in closing, I'll be more than happy to let you say it.
Well, we're just asking for competitive salaries to live in the market that you are, we're all living in. And we're asking for some training that we dearly need. Now, I will tell you, not all TAs are going to stand up here and tell you they really want to have to go to mandatory training, but I'm telling you that those of us who love our job, we want the training. We want everything we can get. The college credits that we got while we were on virtual and learning with that were absolutely fantastic, but the county doesn't recognize any of that. So we want PDs. We want to be able to do it. And we thank you for everything you're doing, and we appreciate the 5-point-whatever million that you're looking at giving us. But guys, we're down 141 TAs for next year. We've got to do something to be able to get these people in, because our people can't keep doing triple jobs. So thank you so much for the extra time, and I thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
You had
Thank
you were sort of going through a list, and I'm writing it down, of those things. So if there's other items on there, do you include them in this packet? If not, please email them.
I will be
to
glad.
us.
I will be glad to. I think everything, Ms. Andrews.
The last thing I wrote down was updated technology and training in technology, and then of course I had that under PD. But if I know you ran out of time, but whatever that is, just make sure we get that.
Okay, and just to let you know, our officer board will be going on a quote-unquote working retreat this summer to update all information that we have, and so I will be bringing that back to y'all for you to see and approve. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for this. This is good.
Our next speaker tonight is Miss April Lee.
Good evening, Dr. Bracy, Chairman Sutton, Madam Vice Chair Sessoms, and members of the board. I'm here to support Ms. Autry and our classified staff. As you know, raising pay for our classified staff has been an issue I have been passionate about for many years and have spoken here often about it. Although the state and district are taking steps to improve classified pay, we continue to trail most states in many areas. We encourage you to consider a supplement or pay differential for the ECTAs who obtain medical training to serve the needs of their students. JCPS once offered valuable professional development for TAs. We understand that our legislature slashed funding for professional development for all staff several years ago. But our TAs would appreciate the opportunity to participate in rich PD that helps support student learning, because we know that that's what, as far as our instructional assistants that are in the classroom, that's what they're there to do. They are there to help support student learning. Last, and this is not anything that Ms. Autry asked me to speak about, but this is something that's near and dear to my heart. I recently shared a post that I wrote 10 years ago that came back up in my memories on Facebook, and it was about advocating for our profession, and it was about some of the vitriol that we feel as educators from the public, and the fact that we need to work harder and do more, and the fact that our pay is, abysmal sometimes to say the least. And the realization that not a whole lot has changed in the last 10 years really hits home. Right? I've been doing advocacy work for a long, long time. It did not start with my presidency with JCAE, and it certainly, when I leave that position, will not stop there either. Last, please continue to pressure our legislature for pay increases for all staff, especially since our General Assembly is predicted to have $6 billion in our coffers after this year's tax season. We all know about the rising cost of gas and groceries, rent and mortgages, and most consumer goods. But what has not kept up with our once growing economy and now record high inflation is our paychecks. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That concludes our public comments for tonight. We will go back into our open session agenda with our advisory appointments, starting with Clayton Middle.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Ms. Sandra Morris, principal at Clayton Middle School, presents Johnston Speary to serve on the Clayton Middle School Advisory Council for a 3-year term of 2022 to 2024.
Thank you, Ms. Andrews. We'll let that be our motion, and we'll go to Cooper Academy.
Mr. Chairman, Jamie Stoke, who is the principal at Cooper Academy, is recommending 3 members for a 3-year term: Tatiana Kareem, Mary Pritchard Jernigan, and Sherman Rodriguez for a 3-year term.
Thank you, Mr. Byrd. We'll let that stand as our second. All in favor of these advisory appointments, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 7-0. Dr. Bracy.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I ask that the board approve consent items numbers 1 through 15.
Motion by Mr. Carroll, second by Mr. Johnston. Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 7-0. Dr. King.
Good afternoon, board members. Board members, during the 2021-2022 school year, Johnston County Public Schools initially entered into separate contracts with Edmentum to provide a number of services for our district. Those services included the Ed Options Academy, which is the basis of our virtual academy, the courseware access. Courseware is access to online courses that we use to meet the needs of our students in very specific cases, but most of all for credit recovery. And finally, Study Island, which is a program that we use to buttress our science curriculum. This year, going forward, we would like to come to the board to request that we, rather than doing these contracts separately, this year, we would like to add these 3 contracts together and enter into a single contract with Edmentum. That contract will cover up to $2,938,500,000 for the virtual academy. That would allow us to assign up to 1,000 students to the virtual academy. We would like to also add to that contract a 2-year contract with courseware, which would allow us to provide credit recovery and also some additional coursework online, and again, a 2-year contract to work with Study Island in the amount of $61,898. The total for this contract would allow us to spend up to $3,035,547 with Edmentum for the 2022-2023 school year.
Thank you, Dr. King. This is an action item. I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Wooten. Second by Mr. Byrd. Any questions or comments?
Yes, does rolling it into one save us some money?
It will save us some money, yes, sir. The largest savings will be that we will have fewer students, and we also save money by having buying 2 years worth of courseware and Study Island. We get a break for both of those for doing 2-year commitments.
Any other questions? We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Board members, the next item is the 2022-2023 JCPS-JCC Memorandum of Understanding. Memorandum of Understanding is signed annually between JCC and JCPS. This agreement includes suggested changes presented by both JCPS and JCC through a number of meetings throughout the year. The MOU contains pertinent information regarding the partnership between JCPS and JCC. This year, there are no major changes to our to these documents. We are asking this year, as we did last year, that the board would approve our endorsement of and endorse the joint resolution and approve the very basic revisions to the memorandum of understanding, which are on pages 3 and 4 of the information that was shared in the document for you. Additionally, we also ask the board to allow us to continue to provide funding for my materials in the amount of $250,000 and textbooks for $88,000. These are expenditures that are used to provide textbook and classroom materials for our students who are in early college, our CCP courses, as well as the CTLA Academy.
This is an action item, so I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Andrews, second by Mr. Johnston. Any questions or comments? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Board members, our next item is Frontline Healthcare Platform. JCPS was allocated $182,878, which must be used by September 2024 for technology services intended to support the identification and location of missing students. And by missing students, we don't mean students who are missing and exploited. We mean students who haven't been reporting to school. The platform that we have chosen to move forward with relative to this funding is Frontline, which will allow our student health information to be stored in a highly confidential digital space rather than through simple paper storage. This will allow JCPS student support teams to be more quickly identify students in need of additional health support and those who may be at greater risk. This expenditure will be paid again through a state allocated ESSER fund, and you see the budget code there. This approval of this contract will allow us to enter into this deal for 2 years, 2022 through 2024. Dr. Amanda Allen, our Executive Director of Social and Emotional Learning, is here with us tonight if you might have any specific questions.
This is an action item. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Andrews,
Second.
second by Ms. Sessoms. Any questions or comments?
Is this a continuation contract?
No, sir.
Or
This
is it
is
a brand
this is a
new?
new program. Yes, sir.
Okay.
New contract.
Am I correct that this is, when we say missing students, these are students that, let's say, they either dropped out this year or they stopped coming to school this year. We start school next year and they have not returned. And so it is our mission to locate those individuals about where their education might be taking place. Am I correct about that?
I'll share with you that a lot of the state leaders in my position, heading up student services departments, we all consulted on this, and there's a lack of clarity on some of these things. So what we want to do with this is make sure that we are being preventative in any of our students getting to a level where they're at risk. And this will give us an opportunity to have health information included in a platform that we've never had before. Like at the beginning of the year when we talk about the health things that have to be in place for students, you may recall that after those health matters, such as health assessments or required vaccinations, not talking COVID vaccinations, the ones that have always been required, if they're not turned in after 30 days, then students are excluded. This would give us the opportunity to see who's missing things, so we're contacting even sooner than we were before. Like we're heading off students before they get to the point of whatever you would define as missing.
Okay,
So it's to help us, this software, we want to use this to track how our students are doing to where when they even teeter anywhere close to the at-risk range on matters other than academics, we're able to swoop in and get them resources as needed.
Those who are at risk of, say, dropout or at risk of just not
Having the supports that they need, like they may, you know, if there's any inadequacy, like if they aren't connected with health resources in any regard, and to be able to keep information
secure in a location to where it's not for all audiences, just those who are working. No, that's okay.
Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, board members. Our next item is contracts for additional nursing services for 2022, 2023. I'll ask Dr. Allen to remain with me for this item. JCPS has also been allotted funding through the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services to support preventive health measures in schools during the COVID-19 pandemic. A portion of these funds have been budgeted to provide us with the opportunity to provide additional nursing support for our schools. To make a long story short, this one-year funding will provide us with the opportunity to have a full-time nurse in all of our schools all year this year for 1 year. It is important to note that because this funding is only for 1 year, we will not be hiring additional nurses because we certainly don't want to commit to people when we don't have guaranteed funding. In order to provide these staff members, we will be contracting with, I believe, 3 companies who will provide us with access to nurses who will work in our schools over the course of this year. This purchase will be not to exceed $2,880,000, and again will be funded by a Health and Human Services Department grant.
And all these people will go through the process of what's required for employees of Johnston County?
Soon as you all approve and sign contracts, then our lead nurse, Allison Marshall, will be able to vet all the resumes and individuals who come into our schools. The minimum requirement on each individual will be being a registered nurse, but it won't be required that they have all the credentials for our school nurses. So each individual is going to be paired with a partnering school nurse so that everything stays as it should in our schools.
And there'll be background checks, just
Absolutely.
like
All that. That's what that was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll accept a motion on this. Motion by Mr. Carroll,
Second.
second by Ms. Sessoms. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Is there a possibility, have y'all heard this may be renewed at some point?
No, we have not.
Just a one time, this is it?
That is correct, but I will put in a plug that contract nurses are a lot more expensive than our school nurses. So if we like the way it feels to have 48 nurses in the district, we can always talk to some other funders about that.
All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. All right, board members, our final item this evening is the JCPS AIG plan for 2022 through 2025. At this time, I'm going to ask our Executive Director for Middle Schools Education and Advanced Learning, Ms. Dorlisa Johnson-Coward, to come forward, and she will be presenting this item for the board. And again, this is an action item.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Bracy. Thank you for this opportunity to present the 22-25 AIG plan this evening. We're going to go ahead and start this evening with the legislation regarding AIG programming for gifted education. This is Article 9B, and there are some stipulations within this Article 9B. First of all, it does provide a definition for academically and intellectually gifted students. It requires the development and approval of a 3-year plan, and it does require the approval from our school board as well. We're going to go ahead and start with the state definition of AIG students. The first thing that you will see is that they perform or can perform. They have the potential to perform above their peers. You see this in the classroom and in different areas. They also have strengths in intellectual and/or academic areas. They need differentiated services, and they come from all backgrounds. There are 6 program standards in the AIG plan, and these are the same standards that were in the last plan. You will see that we have student identification, we have the comprehensive programming, differentiated curriculum and instruction, personnel and professional development, partnerships, and program accountability. The plan that we have actually created is a 70-page plan. The very first slide that you have this evening, I think all of you had that presentation. If you click on that, you will actually be able to see the entire plan. And again, it is quite extensive, and we're picking out the key things for this evening. Before we get started with some of the things that we have in the new plan or the revised plan, we would like to point out the highlights that we have from the last plan for 2019-22. First thing we'd like to point out is that we have purchased new curriculum for our gifted learners. The new curriculum is William and Mary, Project M Cubed, and Project M Squared. Those are all mathematical programs for Project M Cubed and M Squared. We have been using these items before, and we've done updates, and all of our schools receive this information, so we're very excited that they have been given this updated curriculum. We also use a universal screener called the COGAT for our 3rd grade students. We continue to do that. This year, and with the new COGAT that came along, we were using local norms that's provided with it. We provided access to our first-year LEP students so they could actually do certain parts of the COGAT assessment. And then we also moved to a digital platform this year as well. We have developed AIG courses for over 175 teachers enrolled with topics that are aligned to the Praxis, the gifted Praxis exam as well. We continued with AIG identification in spite of the pandemic. We continue to do that process. And then also, we have the formation of the Advanced Learning Team. I serve on that team, and I'm very fortunate to have 2 other folks with me this evening, Allison Brown and Rachel Kerstetter, who are coaches on the team. We also have Kim Johnston. She's unable to be here tonight, but they are able to focus specifically on gifted programming and services. So we're going to go ahead and look at some academic growth data. And this information that you see here is from 2018-19. This is the last time we have growth information. And this is related to the percentage of schools that show growth among their AIG subgroup. So as you can see here, for elementary schools, we had 80% of our schools showing growth with the AIG subgroup. In middle schools, we also had growth above half of our schools. And then in high school, we had about half that were showing growth. You also notice that we had some schools who actually exceeded growth with their AIG population as well. And particularly for science, that is certainly a strength of our gifted learners. The next piece that we're going to look at is the academic proficiency data. This data is from 2021 for the AIG subgroup. And this is the time when we saw all of our test scores dropping within our district, across the state, because we were in the middle of the pandemic. But I did want you to see this information just to see how our AIG subgroup did. So as you can see here, the majority of our AIG students remain proficient, earning a level 4, with a majority of our AIG students earning a level 5 in science. You will also see some areas of improvement during that COVID time as well in trying to get that proficiency up. Our goal for our advanced learning program is to move our students to the next level. Certainly we see a lot of proficiency there, but we would like our students to move up to another level, and certainly to a level 5. The next piece that you're going to see here is related to the priorities that the state gives to us. So there is a document that is linked to the presentation, and it talks about equity and excellence. And this is the focus of DPI. They were very specific with us. They gave us great guidance as we were going through this process. But you will see action steps that are listed there to help with equity and excellence within our district. All of these items that you see here are in our plan as well. So we had that focus that came from the state. We also wanted to focus on specific needs within our district. You will see that we have 3 areas of focus for us. And we did this work with our Gifted Leadership Advisory team as well, looking at all kinds of data to see that these were the needs that we had. We determined that collaboration and communication to make further AIG connections with all stakeholders would be priorities for this plan cycle. The first one that you see here is collaboration, and you see a lot of departments that are listed here. It's really important to give our AIG students the programming and the services. We need help from really everybody. It's really not just this team that needs to come together to do this. It involves several groups of people. You will see that we have curriculum listed up there. That is a big focus for us in our new plan that we have. We will be collaborating with our curriculum department to further differentiate the core curriculum to challenge our advanced and gifted learners while tying the gifted curriculum that we have with the core. We will also be meeting those SEL needs among our AIG students. We will be working with our student services department for that as well. We will work closely with our EC and ESL departments to support and nominate students with multiple exceptionalities showing gifted potential. Along with collaboration with these departments that I mentioned, we will also partner with MTSS, CTE, testing, HR, public relations, and our district leadership to strengthen our comprehensive services for our students. The next slide that you see is communication. That was a very big piece. As we looked over our data that we had, we saw that we needed to make some improvements related to communication with our programming and services. For our school personnel, we will have regular meetings with our school administrators and with our AIG leads so that they are up to date throughout the course of the year. We will be talking about AIG programming at BTO, our beginning teacher onboarding, so that they understand right from the very beginning what AIG programming and services is all about. We won't overwhelm them that first day. They'll have a lot of information, but we do want to give them some resources and things to take back with them so they can refer to that later. We will also have our Advanced Learning Hub, which we have right now, but it's kind of embedded in ClassLink, so you really have to know where it is. We're going to make that a completely separate icon so folks know exactly where they can find AIG Advanced Learning things. The next thing that we are going to do is work with our AIG website. We are going to update it, and we are going to link it directly to the school pages. So right now, as a parent, you would have to go to the district website to find information. Well, most of our parents are going to go to the school website, okay? So we want to make sure that AIG information is right there available on the school site as well. That will also give us consistency. Our parents, our stakeholders will go to that site from every school, and they'll be able to see the same information. The next thing that we have here is our connections. So you can see we have a very nice graphic here just tying all of these pieces together. We want to make these AIG connections with all of our stakeholders. You will see we have AIG right there in the middle, but on the very top, it's our students. Our students are going to be top priority with all the work that we're doing with programming and services. So we're now going to go ahead and we're going to get into some of the things within those standards. And I want to start with student identification. So you will see our numbers right there. I do want to let you know this is from our fall 21 data. So we're actually a little bit higher right now, but as we work through our plan, which we worked on throughout the course of the year, we did use our fall data that was readily available to us at that time. Our totals with the fall data, 3,471 of our students are AIG identified. That comes to about 9.3% of our student population. Just to give you a reference point for that, if you think about our ESL department and our ESL students or ELL learners, it's about the same percentage. So for our AIG students and for our EL students, we're right about the same, which I think is very interesting, but it gives you a little point of reference as well when you think about programming and services. So with student identification for Standard 1, we really want to focus on multiple criteria and pathways that will allow us to have equitable opportunities for our students. We use a lot of data to make those decisions. Not one piece of data is used to make a decision. And that's very important for everything that we do. For MTSS, all sorts of services that we provide, we want to make sure that we do that with gifted programming as well. For Standard 2, comprehensive programming, the very big piece on this, again, is related to that differentiated school support. As a district, we've provided support to our schools in the way that they really need it. We want to make sure that we do that for our AIG students as well. When they need that support, we want to be there to provide it for them. Also, this isn't new to you, but we did want to just reinforce it again. We will be following our grouping practices that we use for our gifted learners. So our students are already cluster grouped at the elementary school. They can be clustered in subject group. We want to make sure that we keep those numbers where they need to be so that they have other students who are identified like them. So the teacher can help to meet the needs, and they also have other students that they can work with as well. With middle school, we will continue to have our advanced classes. We will use the matrix, which has a variety of data points there to help us to make the right decisions in how we place our students. We will continue to offer those high school courses in 8th grade too, with our Math 1 and our English 1 courses as well, for those students who are ready to take that on at the middle school level. And then for high school, just to point this out, we always say they self-select courses. But we do want to point out with high school, AIG students are required to take an advanced course first semester and second semester. So we want to make sure our high schools are following the students, making sure that they are taking that advanced coursework as well. And when we say advanced classes in high school, of course we mean, your honors courses, your AP courses, and your CCP courses. And then the last piece that we have listed there related to flexible grouping is rhyme time. You may have heard of rhyme time before. We use that in middle school. They're also going to be using rhyme time in elementary school. That is a designated time within their schedule where they provide remediation and intervention. And the E stands for enrichment. So they will be providing enrichment as well for those students. So that just gives us the opportunity to do that. The schedule's full. We understand it, but we want to make sure that we give that opportunity for those students who are ready to take that on as well. The next piece is here, Standard 3 and Standard 4, differentiated curriculum and instruction. Nurturing and enrichment will be a huge piece of what we do for K-3 students. With that rhyme time, it's going to give us that opportunity to do more nurturing and enrichment. We will continue to use the programs that we have used before, PETS. I'm sure y'all have heard PETS for some time. Most of our folks within the state, all of the districts, many of them are using PETS still. So we want to get back to that as well. William and Mary, Jacob's Ladder, the Project M Cubed, M Squared, all of those things we can do during that rhyme time and nurture and enrich our students. And then also enrichment and accelerated opportunities and extension opportunities, we're actually going to embed that in the curriculum guides as well. So right now, our teachers do have to find these things. They have to see, how do I fit the gifted curriculum in with the core curriculum, all those sorts of things. We're going to lay it out for them, and we're going to be working very closely with the curriculum team. They actually are already working on curriculum guides right now. So we're very excited. We're moving forward. We've already done curriculum compacting in middle school. So we have that piece for math. We've got quite a few things that we've been doing with middle school. We're going to really be getting in there for elementary as well. And then Standard 4 personnel and professional development. We are going to recruit and retain AIG licensed personnel to further help our programming and gifted services. That will be a priority for us within this 3-year plan. We have several different strategies that we're doing. Those things are listed there. But also, one of the big pieces, we we do really want to reimburse our teachers for passing the praxis exam. We all know taking those exams, it's not easy. There's a lot of homework involved in it, and there's money involved in taking those exams as well. So we do want to support our teachers. That's only going to help us in having more of our licensed personnel in our district, which is a really positive thing for our district. And then our last two standards that we have, Standard 5, partnerships. We want to partner with our colleges and universities. We want to give our teachers some opportunities, from universities. If they're doing professional development, if we can design something for our district, we want to kind of build that as well. And then a very big piece of this is our Gifted Leadership Advisory Team. We formed that team this year. It is a very diverse group of folks. They come from all different backgrounds, different expertise that they brought to the table. Several of the folks are in this room right now who sat on that committee, and they really helped us through the whole process. They had input on every single standard in practice as a whole group and as individuals, and we used the information that they gave to us. And then the last piece that we have, programs and accountability. Of course, we will be doing our fidelity checks, disaggregating AIG data. So many times we look at data, all the time actually we look at data, but how often do we really look at our AIG data? So we really want to hone in on that. We know many of those students are proficient, but we want to get those students to the next level. And along with that, we want to look at our students that are in these advanced classes, disaggregated by subgroup. We, again, want to look at equity and excellence. And so we've got students who show potential to be in those classes. We don't want to throw them in there, but we want to support them. We want to help them to get those skills so that when they are in those courses, they can truly be successful. And then also, we do want to look at AIG dropout data. I know we don't think about that a lot, but we do have AIG students that are dropping out of school for many reasons. We want to work very closely, again, working with student services related to that, and we want to give those students the support, and we want to keep them in school. There's so many opportunities for them in different ways to go through high school and to get different courses. We want to provide those opportunities for our students. And then just the last thing that we have, as you all know, we are looking at board approval for the plan. And again, this is just a very small sampling of what's in the plan. It's a much longer document. We will then, after the approval from the board, we will submit this to DPI as well for their approval. And then once we get done with all of that, we will be focused on implementation for 22-25. We will be monitoring it very closely. And again, our Gifted Leadership Advisory Team is going to be with us through that entire process. And thank you all for your support as well. We really do appreciate it. Yeah, any questions?
Thank you very much for the presentation. I know this is an action item, so we'll go ahead and motion in a second, then we'll get questions if the board has any. So I'll entertain a motion at this time. Motion by Ms. Andrews.
Second.
Second by Ms. Sessoms. Any questions?
Yeah, I got questions. All right, start at top. Meet or exceed the percent of schools, the AIG subgroups. And I'm going to question you on this program just like we question schools with their improvement plans. I would like to hear, based on your current data, what are our goals? In other words, elementary schools, 81% are, I'm saying, proficient in reading. Is that correct? What is our goal in the next year?
81% of our elementary schools showed growth in their AIG subgroup. So most of them actually showed growth.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what we need, or what I need, is at the end of the year, I need to know, or we need to be presented something that tells us that this program is actually growing kids into knowledge. And I'm basing that a little bit on the EOG data, and I've just had a conversation with a parent that says, my kid comes home with A's in all her subjects, but EOG 3, maybe 4. if I see A's on my report card all through the year, why is my student not 4 and 5? And how do I answer that other than saying, well, I could check on that. But the accountability that we need, and all this looks good, but somewhere we need to see that in an AIG program, these children that are identified are, the smallest percentage, which most of it is in 3 and not proficient, but that needs to go away.
We absolutely agree with you. And we have a lot of work to do. And I do really believe working closely with our curriculum team in building in the extension, the acceleration, all of those things right there in the curriculum guides, it's really going to help the teachers. I think about the questioning. We've talked about DOK levels and things like that. We're going to be building that into the curriculum guides. I think it's really going to make a difference for our students so that when they have mastered a particular concept, they then have the next thing that they need to go to that's going to be deeper. It's going to be even more challenging for those students. So I really think the curriculum piece is important. I also think that rhyme time. It's been a while since we've really had that time built into the schedule that we can do enrichment activities. It's now built into the schedule. They will be implementing it at the start of the school year for elementary school. And we have, with the team right here, we have a whole plan in place as far as what can happen during that enrichment time. We've actually worked with a literacy program and looking at what can even our younger students do during that block of time to really get them to the next level. Same thing, when our students take the COGAT, we don't want that to be the first time that they're seeing challenging or kind of like a puzzle sort of thing. How does all of this work together? If we start that in the younger grades, by the time they see a COGAT or by the time they see that EOG, and it's not a point blank question that they have to answer, they will already have started to develop those critical thinking skills. And we think that's going to go a long ways for our students. But we do have a lot of work ahead of us. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, one last question. The total AG student identification,
Yes.
Close to what you say, 9%?
Yes.
How does that compare with the rest of the state?
Pretty comparable.
10% is about.
Yeah, we actually looked at that data. We looked at our percentage of AIG, very comparable. We also even looked at our demographic piece. We talked a lot about underrepresented populations. We certainly want to build those numbers as well. I do have to say we are very comparable to the rest of the state, even with our demographic information. We're not going to settle on that we're similar. But it is a reference point for us to know how we do compare to the other districts as well.
I called it the COGAX, but COGAT, whatever it's called.
I have to say too, we always called
COGAT's
it
a long time ago,
the COGAT, and then we realized the rest of the state says COGAT, and the COGAT people say COGAT. So we've tried to start saying it that way too, but I say
Long
COGAT.
time ago we called it the other thing, but whatever.
I do the
That's
same.
your third grade screener.
Yes.
Okay, so if I score, just help me remember. I score well on that, then I go to the next step.
There's a couple things, it depends on how a student scores. They could be automatically identified with those scores, like being intellectually gifted. There's a possibility with that. Typically, our students do score high, and in our plan, we actually get into all those specific details.
Okay.
But once they have a certain, I shouldn't say a certain because we don't really use cutoff scores, but they're showing that potential, we then look at their achievement data. We look at other
That was
data
my
to
point,
support
that,
it.
you look at more than just one, and you said that, you look at more than just one item, because obviously we want children to be able to, we want people to always reach their potential, but we want to make sure that they're able to do the work.
Absolutely.
I may have the COGATs, whatever you want to call it, is
Right.
that intellectual screener, but we want to make sure the child is able to do.
That's
because
right.
there can always be that gap.
Yeah, it's really important for us to look at all the data. And some of the things that we do is we say not yet. So it's possible that they're not identified for that particular grade level when we have that information. But our team can attest, we have plenty of students that are being identified as they get into 5th grade or in middle school. And folks think that we don't identify in high school. We do. That still happens in high school. It sure does. So we look at all of that.
Especially our upcoming third graders who have been through 2 years of COVID.
Yes.
And they are behind. I mean, many of them are. And I'm glad because, kids mature.
Yeah.
And start to grow in their ability to handle extra responsibility.
In the schools, in our department, we actually keep track of all of that. So we have something called, we have a roster. We keep up with that information. So those students that are showing that potential, we're monitoring them year after year after year.
Ms. Johnson, first of all, I just want to commend you and your team with your work, not just on the plan, but the curriculum development piece. As a former second grade teacher who was AIG certified and had those cluster groups in my classroom, I would have loved to have had developed curriculum for helping me meet the needs of those students. So kudos to you for that. And I think to tag on to what Mr. Carroll was saying, and maybe I misunderstood, but I would hope that our goal is that 100% of our schools show the growth, that growth. And what many people don't understand is that our AIG students are an at-risk population. They are at risk in many, many ways. And so it is vitally important that we identify those students and meet their needs. So thank you for what you're doing.
And I appreciate the staff development for teachers, especially young teachers, to be able to see students who potentially are academically gifted so that those students have that opportunity.
And just to add on
teachers
to that as well, we actually effort because we want to work with our EC program specialists as well so that they can identify that in their EC students too, those characteristics.
When this child's evaluated, you got some scores there that you can go off of. And certainly we have kids who are in exceptional children's program and academically gifted in other areas.
Well, thank you all very much. We do appreciate it. We appreciate your support.
Thank you. So we do have a motion and a second at this time. I'll call a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Mr. Moore.
All right, good evening, board members, Dr. Bracy. Tonight I have two items for you. My first one is a contract for a district-wide ADA assessment. This is the final piece from a recent RFQ that was solicited for design services. A total of 9 proposals were received and 6 firms were selected and interviewed for the various projects. Oakley Collier Architects was selected to provide the assessment and design services for this district-wide ADA accommodation study. After negotiating, staff recommends accepting their proposal and contracting with them in the amount of $212,000. Part of this will be funded by a state capital infrastructure fund's athletics facilities grant of $181,620, and the remaining portion from local fund code 2.5501.861.319.0 athletics.
It's local funds.
Local fund athletics.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. This is an action item. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wooten, second by Mr. Byrd. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. And my second item, I do have a fancy little picture for you. Second item is a paving project for South Johnston High School. This is a year 4, 2018 bond referendum project, and it will overlay and restripe all of the front parking lot, as you can see shaded in yellow. entrance and exit drives, and there's also allowances for 1,000 feet of edge milling, which is shown in purple, and 2,500 square feet into patch repairs, which is shown in red. Quotes were solicited from numerous local paving companies, and the lowest bid was received from RDU Paving for a total price of $339,000, $369,369.44. An additional reserve of $25,000 is also requested just in case we discover any unforeseen conditions that are not covered by the base bid that could possibly arise during construction. Again, this is a 2018 bond referendum funded project.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Sessoms.
Second.
Second by Ms. Andrews. Any questions?
Yes, Mr. Moore, will this be completed before school starts?
That is why, if you see on the bid tab, we solicited to many firms with the expectation that this work is to be done and completed before school starts.
Thank you so much.
Do they have, I know this is probably not an issue, they have summer school there this summer? Where will the kids park? Where will the kids park? Oh, yeah, okay.
The bus parking lot.
They may have to walk a little further now, but they'll enjoy it in the spring.
Well, and
Oh, they're getting on it right now?
That's true. This won't happen until next month.
yeah,
Oh, they'll be done, okay.
okay. And Mr. Moore, I just want you to know that the Parent Advisory Council at South Johnston is thrilled that this project will be completed this summer and before school starts. They are tickled, slammed to death. So
Good.
thank you.
I gave them a couple of options, and they, of course, picked the most expensive, best option.
Because they deserve the best.
Yeah, they deserve it.
Absolutely.
Every time I went down there to see Dr. Pierce, I had to dodge not potholes, but really huge holes that would tear your car up. So they well deserved at South Johnston. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Mr. Moore. Welcome back to the podium.
At this time, I would like to present the superintendent's administrator recommendations. These recommendations have been linked to the board agenda tonight. These are being presented for your consideration and approval.
I'll entertain a motion to approve Dr. Bracey's recommendations.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wooten,
Second.
second by Ms. Andrews. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Ms. Edmondson.
Thank you.
At this time, with no further business to come before the board tonight, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wooten, second by Mr. Carroll. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 6-0. We're adjourned.